Hi, I'm Stephen Ham from Archery Supplies. This is the PSE Citation 36. 36 inches axle, new for 2021, and they should be available around March, February 2021. It was actually released in 2020, but only a couple of demo models were released, and this is one of those demo models. So what's different about this bow, what's changed, and let's just talk about all that stuff. So first off, PSE released the Citation 40. It replaces the PSE Perform, and it's got a few things which are a bit different. And what it is, it's more of a deflex riser, so the limbs are basically pushed back. It creates more stability and less sort of shake in the shot. The riser design follows through from the PSE Super Focus, which is very, very popular, huge success for PSE. But what they've done different to this bow than the Perform, they've changed the limb pockets and the limbs. You can see here it's thinner, so the limbs are working overall the limbs are working harder. Now, harder or more consistently over the entire length of the limb. Now, some people say that because the limbs are working here where they weren't in the old Perform, you feel more vibration. I don't know, I haven't shot this bow. Now, it comes in, the Citation 36 comes in two models. This is the EM cam, so this is the smaller of the two cams. It also comes in the SE cam. The EM cam goes from 22 inches to 28.5 inches. The bow is obviously 36 inches axle, weighs about 4.9. Now, looking at the specs of this bow, it shoots at 320 feet per second, but that's at 28 inches, and it's rated 9 feet per second slower than the SE, the bigger cam. But the SE is rated at 29 inches, so I'm going to say this bow should be physically quicker than the equivalent SE, and that'll be an interesting comparison to make. So some things that PSE have changed just recently, these yokes. So this is a floating yoke system. On the later models, and not on this bow, but on the later PSEs, like the Drive and the new EVLs, you'll see that this is built into this, so you can actually twist up the yokes, pretty much like on an old bow. Now, there's positives and minuses for both systems. The advantage of this is floating, so basically the limbs find their natural position. When you twist up the yokes, you can put a natural twist on the limbs. So let's say for tuning, you want to tune this bow, the only way to do it is to move the cam left to right. If you've got yokes, you can twist up one side or the other side to change the tilt on the limb. So let's say you fit a new set of strings to your bow, you could tilt one limb one way and one limb the other just by twisting the yokes more or less on one side. So I'm going to say there's pluses and minuses for both systems, and it is what it is. So what's changed? The cable guard's changed. This is a stainless steel system. You'll see here the guy who tested this bow fitted these limb saver cable dampeners, and also fitted these bow jacks limb dampeners to the bow. I haven't taken them off for this review. I was more interested in how the bow shot and how I sort of grouped with this bow and whether the draw length suited me. I'm currently 28.5 inch draw length, and I do go out to 29, but most of my bows are set on 28. So part of the question was, and the questions I get asked regularly is, well, an EM versus an SE. I find an SE a smoother draw than the EM because it's got a bigger cam, so it's generally easier to pull back than the smaller cam. Some people say the smaller cams are more efficient and hence faster, and basically you should be shooting the bow at its maximum draw length. Now, I don't know. And my thing is, I don't think it makes much of a difference. Currently, the two top shooters in Australia shoot PSE, and they're both shooting the SE cams on a Super Focus or the Performs or Citation. There is nothing wrong with the EM cam. I'm currently shooting the EM cam, and I've got the Perform and the Super Focus with an SE cam also. So my summary is, the valley's a little bit more substantial on the SE, a little bit smoother draw cycle, probably a little bit easier to shoot. The EM's a little bit more aggressive. Now, I found it fine when I fatigue, so after I've been shooting all day and my muscles aren't used to it, I find the EM a little bit harder than the SE to shoot. So let's just try the balance, you see this bow is very top heavy, like substantially more top heavy than the longer 40-inch bow, because the longer bow's obviously got more weight down the bottom here because it's longer overall. Now, why do they make this bow so poorly balanced? Because you're going to fit a big long stabilizer to the front of it, so that way you won't need so much rear weight on the back, because the front stabilizer is where you're getting your vibration, you're getting your stability from, stopping the bow moving left to right, not so much the back stabilizer. So that's why this bow is not balanced. So if you're going to test one of these bows out, you're probably best to test it out with a big long stabilizer, which I'm not doing with this review. Now, one of the things that have changed, which I really like with this bow, is they've got locking systems here on the limb pockets. These limb pockets are fully machined. They've still got the little rubber plastic grommets here, so if you're going to take the limbs off, some people do, you've got to make sure you loosen these off, otherwise you will break these little plastic grommets. And it's not like they cost a fortune, they might cost $1 each, right? It's just a bit of a pain for your dealer and for PSE when you've got to replace them because you forgot to unscrew these on the side when you fit your limbs. Cable guard on the back's carbon. 2 spots here for your stabilizers, 1 down the bottom here for your rear mount. Now, I did find on some of these, this screw here came loose and you had to put it in with Loctite. So yeah, just bear that in mind. So with that, let's draw this bow back. Now the arrows, and we're going to shoot it through a chronograph. The arrows I shoot the same arrows for all my tests. This is set at 28.5. I've set the bow at, A being the longest draw length, and you can see the little letter A there. Very simple, you don't need a bow press to adjust this. It's just simply 2 torque screws there and there. You loosen and remove the module. Each letter's 1/2 inch, A being the longest. So the arrow I shoot's a gold tip velocity. Weighs 327 grains, it's 29 inches long. Right, so to start off with, the draw cycle is firm. The very first inch, it feels heavy. So some bows kind of build into the draw cycle. This is heavy straight off, which means it's going to be fast. Without even drawing this bow is going to be fast. Now, the way you get speed is a short brace height, and you've got to build up that weight quickly and hold it for as long as possible. So let's just see. Now this cam and the cam I'm shooting on the Super Focus is identical, so it's got exactly the same draw cycle. So this should feel exactly the same as my Super Focus. So there it's peaking, starting to drop there, dropping. So it's in a valley, it feels like about 65%. We're just going to shoot the shot. .308, that's fast. At 28.5, set at 60 pounds, that's fast. Now I'm going to say with the focus jumps forward more in my hand than this. This felt more dead in the hand. It felt fast. It feels... Now if you compare it to, like if you're a PSE shooter and you want to compare it to other PSE bows, you compare it to the Next, which has got short parallel limbs. The Next is going to be deader in your hand. This feels like a speed bow to shoot compared to that. Even with the same cams, this bow is going to feel fast. And I'm supposed let's compare scores, because I've got some people shooting these, the target bows, versus the Next. People shoot pretty much the same scores with both. So you're going to say, why do you want this bow versus the Next when the Next is so much cheaper? Well, this is a shoot-through riser. These risers take twice as long to make. They're more rigid. They take twice as long to make, 4 times as long to make. More metal is a single block of metal which they machine out to create this. It's a massive block of steel. Makes the riser more rigid. That doesn't mean you're going to shoot better. What it means, if you're looking for that little bit, you know, 1 point out of 300 or 1 point out of 700, you might just be looking for this lock system. You just might want a new bow and go, well, the Citation's the latest greatest. One of the questions you're probably going to ask, should I be shooting 36 or should I be shooting 40? And I suppose these questions, like what cam should I have, should I go for a 36, should I go for a 40? Look, I'm going to say that it really doesn't make a lot of difference. I mean, the top shooter in my state, or the top shooter in Australia, shot a NXT 33, shot fantastic scores with it, just as good as his target bow, and for his target bow he's shooting a super focus and shooting, you know, Australian top scores with it, or world-class scores with it. So, and he shoots just as well with his NXT 33, so I'm going to say, he's going to say NTN 33, but I'm going to say, look, it gets back to the shooter. A good shooter is going to shoot well with most bows. It's a matter of what the bow feels like and what you're comfortable with. That felt pretty good to me. Let's just shoot one more. This is the same arrow, just check the speeds. 308's quick. I think it's one of the fastest speeds I've got out of a bow. There. Three 12. It's fast, and when it shoots, like I'm here aiming, and when it shoots, it's like poof. It's like bang. It's like an explosion going off. Not that it's noisy, and it's not that there's vibration I feel in the shot. It feels like a speedboat. It reminds me to shoot of the full throttle. In fact, the draw cycle, the valley is quite short at the end. It's longer than some, like it's longer than the full throttle, but it's still a very short valley, and shorter than the SE cam. This is fitted with the 75% modules. You can get 65, but to me this feels comfortable. I'm kind of asking myself the question, I'm just changing release aids to see, so I'm going to change to the Scott Ascent. Now this is the Victory 3D HV. These arrows are about 20 feet per second faster, so this should be quick. This is just a rocket. And where this bow is going to come into its own is 3D, because it's a target bow which is fast, so it's stable, and it's as fast as any of the hunting bows out there. It's, so for 3D archery, this is just awesome. .325. Now I thought that was the Scott Ascent. That's actually the B3 Coupe. I was like, God, it feels a bit narrow at the end. I'm thinking I'm liking the Ghost better. So 325, very, very fast. Going to shoot the Scott Ascent now, and we're going to shoot. This is my normal target arrow. This is a VAP, so Victory VAP. This is a normal 166 target arrow. I've got them in the elites, I've got them in the sports, I've got them in the gamers. It makes no difference to me which one I shoot. They're all in my quiver randomly. I shoot them all pretty much the same. Now one thing, like when I draw this back, you'll see the position of the cable guards right near my knuckle. So, I mean, what I'm thinking, this is the center of the bow here. So they're putting this as close to that, but it's just kind of, it's getting to my knuckle because I'm shooting a back tension. If I was shooting a thumb, it wouldn't get in the way. If I was shooting a wrist, it wouldn't get in the way. But it's just a little bit annoying. I haven't felt it before on the PSEs, that cable guard getting in the way. So you can see here, You can see here my release aid touching it. It's a little bit annoying. Now I'm going to test the Citation 40 in this review also, because that I find a little bit annoying for me shooting at back tension. That one didn't read. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the Citation 40 to see how that draws back as far as that cable guard getting in the way. Okay, so this is the Citation 40. Now the first thing when I go to load up an arrow, you can see here I can't get the release aid anywhere near it. So my question is, why is it touching on this? Sorry, why is it not touching on this, but it's touching on the Citation 36? So first off, let's check out the brace height. So there. Okay, so you can see the difference in the brace height there. It's quite substantial. Now, so the Citation 36 is going to be considerably faster than the Citation 40. Now the distance from the D loop to the cable guard, and you probably prefer this on a tape measure, see, that's really interesting because it's about the same. Oh, look here, see the cable guards beyond the string, and here the cable guard's almost in line with the string. So I'm going to have to look at the video of this to see if that cable guard could be moved in. Now they're both in the same kind of position, like it's a 1 o'clock kind of position there and there. So really it's the brace height which is causing the release aid to touch the cable guard. So with that, we're going to test this bow at 18 meters and see what sort of groups we can shoot. Okay, so I'm back at 18 meters and we're going to try the Citation 36. Now one of the big comments I see on videos is like, who cares what speed the bow is? Now the first thing is you're going to need a certain amount of speed and energy to get the arrow from A to B, and there's comments like, well, a fast miss is a miss, right? But what this means, let's say you want to shoot 270 feet per second, just a number, it's just a number, it doesn't matter whether it's 270 and 275, right? With this bow, because let's say it's 10%, 20% faster than another bow, you could wind this bow down 5 pounds and get the same speed. Or you could shoot an arrow 20% heavier and get the same speed. Now what that means is you're going to be more stable. The arrow is going to be more stable. What it's going to mean, it's easier on your shoulder. So what the speed is telling you a lot of, I'm talking target archery here, is how easy this is on your shoulder, how easy it is for you to draw. This bow's fast, so this is a harder draw cycle. Your body's working harder. But to get the same speed as, let's say, a bow I chronograph at 270, I could wind this bow down to 50 and get the same speed with it. So what that means is I'd be comparing this bow at 50 to another bow which is slower at 60, and this bow at 50 pounds would be piece of butter to shoot. So, you know, now if you're shooting 3D and you've got to guess distances, well, speed means a lot, and that's where you're shooting a lot faster arrows and faster bows. But for targets, speed still means something. It means about the efficiency of the bow. And like your older bows didn't shoot that fast, and the arrows would lob and they were sponging in the back wall. This bow is solid all the way through. Now I'm getting a little bit better with drawing this back because you can see I'm not now hitting the cable guard, so maybe this is something I'll just get used to. But on those first few shots I definitely hit. So let's see how we group. This bow is so fast, it's crazy. It's it's just like, I shoot some bows, it's like boom, boom. And they are like, they're repeatable. You know, they're just like slow, and they just lob an arrow. The super focus just goes thud forward. This is just I've got a Toyota Supra, which has got a twin turbo system on it. This is like hitting the Supra when the turbo kicks in and you get thrown back into the seat. It's like so quick. Okay, now the sight pin, 75% let off. I'm basically shaking around. I'm not getting left or right shakes. I'm not getting up or down shakes. It's just a general shake all over. Now this could be because I'm not shooting a lot, which I'm not, because I've been working on the business a lot. You know, set up a new store. But I feel like I'm shaking a bit more than like with the Supra, which has got a bigger brace height than this. This feels sharper than the Supra, and when I say it's like a, you know, hitting a turbo on a sports car, it's not like the full throttle, which is just like aggressive the whole way through. And I'm going to say, like, on the, comparing it to the car analogy, probably if you had to drive a drag car around, it probably wouldn't be a fun experience, because it's so touchy. And when I drove a V8 sports car, as soon as I touched the accelerator, the back wheels would spin. So you always had to be really careful with the car when you drove it. This is still comfortable to shoot. It's got the same cam system as my Supra, it's just faster. You can tell the limbs are working harder, you can tell it's got a shorter brace height, and I think the shorter axle, less weight, feels pretty good. Now this is not a bow for the beginner. It's not a bow, if you're studying on archery, you don't want this bow. It's a nice bow to shoot. It's lovely to shoot. It's the top of the line PSE. But that 70, with this bow you can't adjust the let off. To adjust the let off, you're gonna have to buy a new module. With the SE cam, you can change the let off. So you can start off with your 80% let off, which is easy to shoot, bigger valley, and just, you know, if you then want to experiment with less let off, you can just move the draw stop forward. You can also change the module on the SE cam to low let off or fast. This, I suppose this is like the SE with low let off. But I am liking it. I'm liking it. Now, before, I can remember testing the Perform 36, and when I tested, I shot really well with the Perform 36. I ended up choosing a Perform 40 for myself because I thought, well, it's more target. Going back on that decision, I kind of wish I'd brought the 36. Not that I shoot any better with it, I don't have any delusions of that. I like the whole balance of the bows, the symmetry. I did the same with the Supra. I had the Supra 37, which I still have, but I brought the Supra XL, the 40-inch one, which I've shot for the whole year and I haven't found a better bow, which I do like. I'm just tempted back to the shorter bow. This bow feels very precise. It feels very solid, feels very stable, even though it's like, you know, jumping when I shoot, like braking, I'm going to call it, when it, you know, like it's breaking away when I shoot. I still feel in control of the shot. Now this is the first time I've actually shot the B3 Ghost Release Aid. Since I did the review, I'm like, I like the feel of it, let's shoot it. So it was a huge risk for me, which doing this video, that it was all going to turn pear-shaped on me. But when I do reviews, sometimes my reviews do turn pear-shaped and I get in trouble with the manufacturers. Less so with PSE. When things don't go right, they kind of accept it and they're like, well, look, this stuff happened. But other manufacturers are not very nice about it. So I'm rather happy that these arrows go in the middle. Not that they will all go in the middle, because I don't know that, because we're still shooting. But it looks at this distance amazing. And it feels amazing to shoot. Do you know what? I suppose what I'm really liking about this bow, the angle on the string through my nose, and it could be because I got a big nose or whatever, it just feels all compact and everything feels locked into the spot. Now part of me thinks, well, should I be shooting 29 inches with this because it feels a little bit short? But then the other part of me goes, it feels good to shoot, so why not just shoot it and stop thinking? Because a lot of archers think about stuff instead of just doing it. Let's go and look at those arrows. I feel, you know, it's interesting. When I first started this review at the short distance, you could probably see my comments and my views when I'm doing this review. I'm not liking this cable guard in the way. I'm not liking this. If I'm going to get a citation, it's going to be a 40. That's what I thought when I first started this review. I was like, if I'm going to get a citation, and I don't need one because I shoot really well with the focus, but if I'm going to get one, the reason I'm getting one is because I want a new bow, I want the fancy new limbs, I want the locking limb pockets, love the locking limb pockets. And I just want to have, you know, the latest PSE, because I've always had the latest PSE. And I was like, well, I won't be getting this one. Maybe I'll get the SE version of this. Maybe this cable guard puts me off. But then when I was practicing, and I'm sighting this bow in at 18, I actually didn't hit the 10, believe it or not, because I'm like, anyway. So I sighted the bow in. I shot about 5 arrows sighting the bow in. I was like, that's close enough, let's just do this review. It started feeling comfortable. And I can't obviously see the group, but it feels pretty good. So let's go down there. It feels like the best group I've ever shot. And that's without a stabilizer, the bow's not balanced. It just feels awesome. So let's go down there and see what it's like. Okay, so I'm up here at the target, and yes, this is the best group I've ever shot. Now, I haven't shot hardly anything in the last 4 weeks. Probably nothing, because my body's been so sore from lifting stuff, working on the building. It's been continuously fatigued. And I have a bit of asthma. I'm not making excuses for the way I'm shooting. I'm just saying I haven't been shooting much. I normally practice all the time. I haven't, because of all those reasons. So I expected my group for this to be garbage. This is going to be a harder bow to shoot, so I expected very poor results. The shorter brace height, the faster cams, the smaller brace height would be everything to suggest I'm going to group like this, and it's going to be really bad, and PSE is going to say, Stephen, we're going with another dealer, not you. That's awesome. I didn't obviously film it 3 times to do this. And straight off the bat, there's been a police helicopter flying around continuously. So anyway, that's awesome. 1 arrow shot. 1 arrow with the knock shot off, so that's cool. And that's an awesome group. One obviously, I don't know if that's the one which hit that knock or not, but look, whatever. That is like that, and that's at 18 meters, and that's awesome. That's without fancy sights, without stabilizers, and that's pretty cool. Okay, so summary: the new PSE yoke system, which you see on the Evos. I don't know whether I like it or don't like it. I know why they've got it, so that way you don't have to shim the cams, but it creates more problems. Yes, it creates maybe faster solutions, maybe slower solutions. Now I want to talk about shimming cams, because I see it on so many groups about shimming cams. I get asked about every single bow on the market, whether it be Matthews or the result from Elite. The result from Elite, you can shift the cam, the limbs, pivot limbs, right? And the Bowtech, you can shift the cams. When you make these adjustments, you want to make the smallest adjustment you can think of. And when I'm talking about shimming a cam, it's the thinnest of thin washers you want to move. Not a big one, the thinnest of thin. It makes the biggest impact. You don't want to overdo it, because then you bugger up everything. If you are getting tears, it could be the way you shoot. More than anything, it could be the way you shoot. So you probably want to get someone else to shoot the bow to see if they torque the bow the same as you. Because I'm going to say 9 out of 10 times when I have people come in and they're getting tears on the bow, it's probably the way they're gripping the bow. They're not gripping the bow correctly. They're gripping the bow, torquing the bow, that's causing the tears. But if you are going to shim the bow, shim it by the thinnest of the washers, which is like a paper thin washer. That's it, that's all you move. Now I find it's been shimming a PSE, you've got to take off the cams to do it. Now it almost depends on the archer. Some archers never have to touch them. They get the bow and they shoot a perfect bullet hole when they first get the bow. Some have to shim it by the thinnest of washers. I'm going to say probably 1 in 10 people shim their bow, and it's one way or the other, and some of that's through torque. Now this bow obviously hasn't been shimmed. It's obviously with a 5-pin hunting sight where the bubble is not level, and doesn't have stabilizers and doesn't have anything. You can shoot like that, well, you're going to win lots of tournaments. What I'm saying is, don't overthink things. Go shoot regularly. Even me shooting just then, I could see myself shaking. My muscles are not in time. I need to improve my fitness. I need to improve my breathing. I need to improve my strength. I need to improve my endurance. I'm not even thinking about the bow at this stage. The bow feels nice. Now, I'm just going to sum this up at the end. When you choose a bow, think about what you're looking for in the bow. Now, I didn't like this bow. When I say I didn't like this bow at the start of this review, I was like, this would be a nice 3D bow. Would I buy this bow for 3D, or would I buy an NXT3 for 3D? You know, like, where would this bow fit in my bow, shooting a bow? And I did like the 36 Perform. And I'm like, would I get this bow with an SE cam or not? Or would I go for this cam, and because the SE is going to be smoother. So what sort of cam am I going to go for? Am I going to like the bigger valley? Am I going to like the softer valley? Now, all up, it's not going to make a lot of difference. If you're new, go for a bow that's easy to shoot. If you're going to shoot a lot, your body's going to get used to this, of whatever bow you're going to go for. I actually, after shooting this bow and getting that result, and I'm not even saying about this result, it could have been opened up, right? The group could have been opened up. It just felt so solid when I'm back there that I'm like, the draw cycle feels solid all the way through. When I'm aiming, it feels solid. I've got lots of back tension in there. I get the shot off and it shoots clean. I'm not feeling any vibration in the shot after the shot. The bow's breaking, it feels nice. Like the whole shot sequence to me feels nice. I like the way the bow feels to shoot. It's not saying I don't like the NXT 35 or the 33 to shoot. I do, I love those bows to shoot. They have very little shock, very little vibration, and arguably an easier bow to shoot. Really like those bows. But this is fast. This is like a rocket. It's awesome. It looks cool. It's the latest thing. And I guess I'll be setting up one of these for target, and we're going to see how I go with it. Now, I'm going to say, before you pick one of these bows for target, I always wait till some people shoot some scores. Dave Cousins has shot, 30x indoor scores with it. My friend in America, obviously Dan Jasser's been shooting 30x indoor scores with it. So there's been a whole bunch of people shooting really good scores with this bow. Not that they're not great archers, because they are great archers. They're far better archers than me. They're great archers, but what you'll see with these people is that with harder bows, I'm going to take Dave Cousins. Dave Cousins is a great archer. When he switched to PSE, he had fantastic results because it's the bow that's easy to shoot. Forgiving, the brace height longer, the deflex rises, which is what Dave shot really well when he shot for Hoyt with a deflex riser. And that's what the Citation is. It's a deflex riser which is easy to shoot, not easy to draw. This is bows aggressive to draw. I'm going to say it's not as aggressive as some bows, but it's definitely up there in the aggressive draw cycles. But I find it smooth all the way through. I'm going to make a point, like with the Prime, if you saw my review on the Prime, it was soft here and it's peaking here. I had trouble. With the PSE, it's peaking here, which is easy to draw, and it's the same weight all the way through, so it's easy to get through. When the bow's soft here and then it's peaking here, it's actually hard to get your body through it, and that's when I have trouble drawing the bow back. I had no real issues shooting this bow, and I'm going to be happy shooting this bow at this poundage, at maximum poundage. So now it's a matter of setting up some stabilizers, fitting a target sight with it, shooting some scores, which we'll do on videos. We'll shoot some indoor scores, we'll shoot some distance scores, which we'll do on videos. We'll shoot some 50 meters with it, and I think I'll shoot some qualifying events, like world qualifying events, and see what sort of scores we shoot with it. Fit a blade arrow rest to it, fit a peep sight to it. To sum this up, the new PSE yoke system, I won't be fitting to this because I see there's no advantage. There's obviously an advantage of 3 strings versus 5, but for the overall way the bow shoots, it's going to be no advantage to me, so I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make a change. I only make changes if it's an advantage to the way I shoot. Adding stabilizers, fitting a peep sight to this bow, fitting a blade arrow rest is going to be an advantage to this bow. So I'm going to fit all that stuff. I think that's all I'm going to do. Fit some stabilizers, fit a sight. And think about which peep sight I'm going to fit. I'm really confused with which peep sight to fit to this bow. I'm thinking of going to a podium peep from Specialty or a Hampski peep, because I shot really well when I shot a podium peep once. Like I shot a world-class score, so I like to, maybe I'll go back to that. So with that, I'm Stephen Ham from Archery Supplies. That's the PSE Citation 36. You're going to see me shoot this bow again because I'm going to set one up. I'm going to set up this bow for target now and see what sort of score I can shoot with it, because that's awesome. And let's see how I go with a target setup with that, because that's awesome. Thanks for watching and have a great day.